Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another Total War Arena, I don't know, random video to be honest. Total War Arena discussion. Doesn't really fall into any other category. And what I want to show you in this video is why and how Leonidas is super OP. And I'm going to use 4 replays in this video in total, I think. We'll see, I don't have a script, don't worry about that. 4 replays, all from the same tournament. First two are SUNTZU versus Flex Wings, which is a combination of Flexius or Flexus and Sol Wings. And both teams have used Leonidas. Kingdom used Leonidas? I don't actually know. Maybe not. But we did use Leonidas against them, and you'll see why. And then you'll see, for example, a difference between how Leonidas performs his role and a non-Leonidas performs that exactly same role. But in this video, in this battle rather, there's going to be a very interesting interaction. Because Flex Wings have decided to use Leonidas as their main frontline damage dealer, while we use Leonidas as a defender of a side flank. So anyway, as you could see, he just goes into Find the Shade at the beginning, then goes into Hoplite Phalanx once he's in melee, and just pushes in. Heavy Thrust, walks a little bit backwards, really shouldn't, but I still can't really shoot him, right? Because as he wiggles back and forth, look at this now, right? He pushes in like that, and if I shoot him right now, what do you think is going to happen? A shit ton of friendly fire, that I can tell you. Which means that he doesn't even need to stay in Fight in the Shade in order to protect himself from missiles, essentially. So Leonidas, even though he has Fight in the Shade, and it is supposed to be like, oh, if you don't want to get shot while in melee, you know, you have to stay in Find the Shade, you cannot go into Phalanx, and Find the Shade doesn't give any melee penalties. It used to way back in the day, but then they removed it. The only thing that it does is that it prevents you from going to Hoplite Phalanx, because it deactivates when another formation is active, which is Hoplite Phalanx. So you're either in Hoplite Phalanx or you are in Find the Shade, can mean both at the same time. So yeah. But then you just walk into the fight in Find the Shade, prevent any missiles from getting any initial damage, however little damage it would be anyway, because you get like 1 or 2 volleys and you're heavy armor and you have missile block, so yeah. Even if those are crossbows, which are armor piercing, still wouldn't do that much damage. And yeah, so you're losing on that plus 20% melee weapon damage. You're not getting minus 5% melee attack and, you know, all that other fancy stuff that comes with a Hoplite Phalanx. In theory, but in practice, you just go into Hoplite Phalanx anyway, and you just push forward, make yourself invulnerable to missiles that way, and then shield bash the enemy to death, because that ability is also extremely balanced, as you can see. Yeah. Very balanced. A lot of damage being dealt there. So now that Arcleon has retreated here, that opens up this unit to be shot at. But no, he goes immediately into Find the Shade, preventing that from happening. He pulls back a little bit over there, so I could find in focus fire at him, but then he goes immediately glues himself into our infantry and continues to do his thing. But I know, we're not just mindless sheep ourselves, so we're also trying to counteract that. We do have Germanicus over here with Vengeance, so he needs to do a little bit. But now then he goes, after I get charged, because it's range meta obviously, he goes into Hoplite Phalanx again and just wrecks Leonidas anyway. Wrecks Germanicus anyway. So let's speed up, because now Leonidas is almost dead after all that engagement. Let's see actually how much damage he dealt. Yeah, the most. More than our Germanicus as well. More than our ranged, obviously. Let's continue on. As we go into the second phase of the battle, We do C, like noobs, we attack D, like noobs. Leonidas just blobs up, deletes our remaining units. I am forced to recall back to the base because of the incoming cavalry over here. Now we don't see it anymore, but it was cavalry there. That would kill me had I not recalled. And after I recall, I am essentially vulnerable because I'm detached from any melee infantry from our team. And then this is what happens. I get charged by cavalry again because it's range meta, as you can see. But I did my one job that I had, which was delete Scipio from this point. So the enemy team uses Leonidas as the main damage dealer, while we are using our Leonidas as a defender of a side point. So let's remove Fog of War, and now we're going into second or third base of the battle and we'll attack the Scipio over here. So you'll see the differences between Leonidas and Scipio. You also see it in the next battle and then in all the next battles as well, because the two Flex Wings battles were very close, very similar to each other, as in our main forces always met each other on the same flank, while the Kingdom battles were the opposite. So we had a defending flank versus attacking flank, and the same on the other side, obviously. So you'll see how that went against Kingdom as well, and how Leonidas performs in all of our situations. So here, obviously, we didn't use... we made so many mistakes that it's honestly not even funny, to be honest. Oh well, to a lot of you I expect it is funny. But then again, we have 4 units of cavalry trying to take down an elephant, which is kind of weird. So, now I push with our Leonidas to the point E to attack Scipio. We can speed that up as well as we wait for that to happen. Their Leonidas is just going to plant himself on C and just defend that. They're also attacking A, but we do have people respawning in there. And here's the difference between Leonidas and Scipio, if you want to hold a point. Scipio doesn't have any raised shields abilities, which means he'll get hit by approximately 40% of my missiles, right? What's his missile block? Missile block is here. Yeah, 54. So he gets hit by approximately 46% of my missiles, which 3 units versus 1. Also, he wasn't moving for quite a while because he was probably micromanaging his units somewhere else. So he gets cut down to half HP, and now Leonidas can do his stuff, push into him. Although he has of Perseverance, which is quite good against Leonidas, right? Because Leonidas cannot land his strikes as reliably. But here comes another strength of Leonidas, or rather inherent strength that comes with his units. They are very maneuverable, even though it's phalanx, right? Technically, you get penalties to turn speed, movement speed, etc. But you can rotate while in melee in a way that a regular infantry cannot. And then he exposes the infantry's back to me, to my crossbows. And then we can start capping. We're going to flip the point, but there's cavalry incoming. And I have only one Leonidas unit to block it. And this is actually Caesar, he's Vici, so Nexus here cannot charge, so he gets wrecked. It was a very nice combo out of them, and E hasn't been flipped. But Nexus still tanked the charge so that it didn't hit me. So now it means I can do some stuff. I can try to kill that cavalry. It is Whirlwind, but it's exposing its back. Whirlwind doesn't work at 360 degrees, so I still kill this one cavalry unit. Now we try to flank it. But anyway, it's going to be on the point. Although Leonidas still is pressed over here. Right now he can go into phalanx. I have no idea why he isn't. And just push through and kill that cavalry unit. So, that's why Leonidas, if that was a Leonidas unit here, defending the point, and not a Scipio, he was just going to find a shade, and our range would be useless. And if we had, well, we can have our Leonidas, we can have anything else. He can just stay, find the shade permanently. My ranged units are completely useless. in that scenario, unless I somehow find an opportunity to shoot him in the rear, but I think he just turn around on the spot, you know, as any other unit can. And yeah, you need, you know, a powerful combination of various units even to try to take Leonidas down, because 1v1 he's going to win pretty much everything. So you need to commit more resources to attack a point that is being defended by Leonidas than, you know, to defend a point with Leonidas. We just need one player, maybe even one unit, and it's all fine because Leonidas is just unremovable.
The enemy has lost a capture point.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much all we can learn about it from this battle.
Our capture point is contested.
About Leonidas, yeah, I think pretty much everything has happened. Well, they're going to Capet, so we're going to use our crossbows to defeat their Scipio again. I will spawn here. Actually, let's see
Halfway towards victory.
the damage, right? Their Leonidas just go so strongly ahead, already 50% more damage than our Germanicus, who is our main damage dealer. Brenter in those little exchanges already racked up 100k damage. It's pretty good. More than their Scipio. More than the cavalry that is constantly active. Well, that's kind of the cavalry though. And I'm just, you know, modest 189k. Nothing special, right? Because this is a tournament and usually people know how to shut down range. But this is where range is situationally strong. Right? You can be consistently strong like Leonidas, because Leonidas pretty much wherever he goes, doesn't matter the situation, he's so independent. So he doesn't need allies to buff him, he doesn't need allies to protect him, he protects himself. And he himself deals a shit ton of damage with shield bashes and phalanx and pull through and everything. Alright, so here, as I have the sides of my enemies exposed and I am unthreatened by any cavalry, here's my time to shine to reduce this blob a little and, you know, help my allies. But if I were cavalry or infantry, I could have just done the same by going in and attacking it from the back and essentially achieve the same result, right? So it's not like something else wouldn't do the same job as I'm doing right now. And Leonidas just laughs at me. I did manage to poison him. So yeah, poison is unique, that even if the missiles themselves are blocked, the unit itself will still get poisoned, so it's good at finishing off a unit like that. So yeah, that's one of the advantages. And Scipio here does really well. He's being surrounded, just one soldier left. Also, there's a funny thing, because he has so little HP, it doesn't. You can't even see that this is an enemy unit, right? You did have a red glow around it, but that was because I clicked on it. But otherwise, it doesn't have the red HP bar because it's pretty much invisible, and it just has his name on top of it. It doesn't has this thing doesn't have a blue background or a red background. It's just black. So yeah, it's even difficult to see in a tournament battle like this. Well, in a battle, right? In tournament, we can communicate it, which is what we did. Yo, there's still one soldier left. Go and fucking kill him. Yeah, and here's another situation, I guess, where I'm strong, which is where they expose their backs even, and there's a huge blob, and I can just shoot it. Yeah, I just scored a huge shot in the back on this guy. They're trying to rush our base, but we responded to that immediately and stopped them in their tracks, essentially, even before they could get there. And Leonidas, yeah, Leonidas is still going to do his thing here, and dogs overpowered, right? Dogs counter to hoplite phalanx or pike phalanx, because dogs ignore phalanxes. Well, but they no longer ignore strikes. And there we go, 2 released units of dogs versus 1 Leonidas, who is in Find the Shade, not in hoplite phalanx, and hoplite phalanx would give him plus 20% damage, right? Which would stack with his shield badge that gives him plus 44. And those 2 units of dogs that were supposed to be a counter to spears and pikes, yeah, did nothing. Also, if I wanted to shoot him, can't. Just 4% missiles went through because he turn his way around. Or does he not have one? Well, okay, 44, and this gives 63. No, he does have 100 missile percent. So yeah, he must have turned around one soldier or something. That's why it landed. But I can still land the poison on him, so there's that. And he would just overwhelm them with numbers where I start flanking. But Leonidas still Leonidas. What he can do, another thing, as I said earlier, he can just, you know, reposition himself. He even has phalanx reposition on this tier. But that's beyond the point, he can still do that even without it. Which means, even if he doesn't have hold the line, which essentially makes him unroutable, he can still just position himself in such a way that he cannot be flanked anyway. Or if he gets flanked, he just keeps pulling back. Like this, for example, against the wall, right? And he would just prevent any flanks from coming through. And here again, here's why Leonidas would be better at defending a point than Scipio. Because Leonidas in this situation just goes into find the shade and just ignores all of my missiles while still beating everything that we would throw at him here in melee. Even an elephant, arguably, because Shield Bash gives him plus 44% melee weapon damage, which is quite strong against an elephant. It would obviously take some time to kill an elephant, but yeah, he would do it. Leonidas can solo an elephant, and then he can go Hoplite Phalanx as well, which gives him even more bonus. And also spears have bonus against elephants. So it's not only about Leonidas himself, it's also about spears and just how they synergize so well with each other. How good they are. And yeah, we are able to remove the Scipio quite quickly over here, and we catch the enemy range units that were trying to desperately get into the point and help. And oh, hello Leonidas and a blob. Oh no, it's Leonidas versus Leonidas, but it's triple Leonidas versus one Leonidas. Another one Leonidas does pretty well because he's in phalanx, he has hold the line himself, so that's quite a lot of melee defense. Well, maybe not that quite a lot, just plus 12%, but still, his spears have a lot of melee defense inherently. They have more melee defense than they have melee attack. Where it's 97. Okay, I lied, it's 107. Well, maybe because of this. It gives plus 50%. So there's that. But in general, spears have slightly more melee defense than they have melee attack, while swords have much more melee attack and much less melee defense. Yeah, for example here I have 59 and 67. Alright, and spears are more or less equal. 73, 79, 92. Yeah. They still have more melee attack, but less melee attack than swords and more melee defense than swords. There we go. I actually missed a point here, because here we had our Leonidas. Yeah, I forgot about it from the battle, fuck. So yeah, we had our Leonidas over here, and he was just completely overwhelmed, completely outnumbered. And he held, so it was pretty much happening simultaneously. We were attacking Scipio over here, and we killed him pretty quickly. And they, at the same time, started attacking Leonidas over here, and you can see there's a minute difference. Over 1 minute difference between the capture of the 2 points. So let's, just nothing interesting happens in this battle anyway. This is the end. Let's launch it again, and let's see how our Leonidas deals with that massive attack over there. And then we will go into a second battle. I said no script, and this is over 1 week after the tournament has concluded, so these battles are not as fresh in my memory as they could have been. Oh, also I can show you the stats, but yeah, Leonidas dealt the most damage, to nobody's surprise. More damage than my ranged, even though ranged, the only thing they do is damage. That's the only thing they do. They don't hold a point, they don't hold the line, they cannot scout. I mean, they technically can, right, but they face check, and if there's something there, then they die. Well, uniquely, Zhuge Liang has Sight of the Dragon, which is part of the reason why we picked Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang is also healing, which is another part of the reason why we took him. It turns out we took Zhuge Liang mostly for his utility of healing Cider Dragon and Poison rather than, well, Poison comes from the unit rather than from the commander. Rather than from the straight up damage that the ranged units deal, because yeah, that is what happens to the rangers, they just die because they're super vulnerable. Yeah, it says it's times 10 speed, but I think it's times 5. I don't know, maybe it is this times 10. Yeah, white cavalry against an elephant. So yeah, in general in this battle, we lost the early game through our own mistakes and also through a very good draft by our opponents. Leonidas as the main damage dealer, double cavalry, quite strong, gave us a lot of trouble. So we shouldn't have won this battle, to be honest. After losing the early game, the enemy team had such a great advantage that they should have never lost it. But they do make a few mistakes. For example, they had cavalry respawn over here and they went to E, and E was a lost cause pretty much. Instead, they could have went to C. They would prevent C from being flipped, and they would still have a healing zone. Because once the healing zone is removed, the battle is equal, and it just goes down to who can win this one engagement, right? Because if they want to heal, their healing zone is here. If we want to heal, our healing zone is here. Roughly equal distance, even ours is slightly closer. Once they get A, they can also come from here, but too late. We already secured C. Yeah, so here's our Leonidas, 2 units, sort of being attacked. Cavalry just went there, was like, oops, Leonidas is there, guess we can't attack. But they're gonna attack anyway now.
Our unit is under attack.
So yeah, 4 units. That's a good charge, it's another good charge, but it's still Leonidas. It's going to hold. With more charges, more charges, more charges. Still holds. Put an elephant now over there. So Leonidas bought enough time for an elephant to arrive, for our cavalry to arrive. Cavalry can also oath. And now they have their infantry, they can oath. And Leonidas has already respawned, but not here. Where the fuck is he? Oh yeah, he's here. Yeah, so he respawned on A and pushed to D with us. To be honest, that's a mistake. I have no idea why Brent did it. He should have respawned at E and just went into E. He could have. Right, so Leonidas dies, but he buys enough time for allies to come back. Allies hold the point for long enough to Leonidas to respawn, and then Leonidas just goes into the point again and repeats the process, and the point wouldn't have been captured. I really don't know why Brenter went to A. That was his mistake, to be honest, yeah. Nobody specifically told him to go to A or to E, so that was his own judgment call there, and yeah, that's what he did. So partially on me as a team captain, that I haven't told him specifically to stay on E, but yeah, I was, busy on the other flank, so I didn't see the situation clearly on what was happening over there. But Mishet could have said that to him, Nexus could have said that to him because they were fighting there. Yeah, so just overall team failure, I think. But they still won. It was over at that point. We managed to came back because the enemy also made mistakes. So we made mistakes in the early game. Then the enemy made mistakes in the mid to late game. And that's why we came back. And yeah, their Scipio wasn't as good as Leonidas at holding points. Also that. Because if they had Leonidas and had a different damage dealer who could... Oh, I still didn't show you the fucking scoreboard. Yeah, as I said, Leonidas dealt the most damage. It's to nobody's surprise. Anyway, let's go into the second battle. And I'll spend 1 hour on talking about why Leonidas is OP, because it's already 25 minutes long video and we are just through one replay. And we still have 3 more to go. So here we have a little bit of adaptation. Well, it's a different map, so we have a slightly different strategy. We also have learned from our mistakes from the previous battle, so we'll try to not repeat them again and adapt. We'll adapt our initial strategy based on that as well. Anyway, let's speed this up. Leonidas again, main damage dealer, just blob up. He ate one volley, that didn't do much to him, but it was with poison as well, so poison takes and takes. But then he just goes into hoplite. No, he doesn't. He's still in Find the Shade, and he just does the same thing anyway. He just pushes forward, still in Find the Shade, all the time in Find the Shade. Just push forward, push forward, push forward, shield bash, shield bash, shield bash, and well, our front line is gone. I get charged by cavalry, because range meta obviously. Yeah, but they essentially make the same mistake as we did, which is push the point. Well, we have a healing zone. So yeah, now it goes back into them, but now we are pushing and now they have the healing zone. They try to deny it, we grab the watchtower, I have the poison, try to poison the units, but as much as I can stop the healing, I cannot stop the respawns. Also they have Kenane, they have adapted their draft as well to counter my crossbows. This looks funny on time 10 speed, when the elephant is poisoned and just runs forward. Yeah, so they healed up and now they push us back, but now, oops, now we have the healing zone, and now same thing happens. They get on top of our point, but are freshly respawn and healed units are able to push them back. Like it spoilers them. Leonidas still damage there. Meanwhile, on the other flank, there's also kind of back and forth between Leonidas. Did he push into D already or not? Maybe he pushed and then he was brought back. But he will push again. I'm pretty sure about that. So we Scipio versus Leonidas. Leonidas just doesn't give a fuck. Just absolutely, look, he took no damage. 2 soldiers lost. And just go with him. Well, he spikes, right? But just in a spears 1v1 against an oath infantry. You could also just he cannot disengage from oath. But then just looks back and forth comfortably. Shield bash you in there. Bam bam bam. In the meantime, same stuff still happening. We kill them at B. After they push us, we heal up. We push into E, they heal up. And it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But because they have Leonidas, their push is stronger, essentially. That's why they get on top of our point pretty much always, while we get stopped even before we can get there. So yeah, there's that. But we are aware of such a dynamic. I even made a video about it. So I was aware of this thing for a very long time. That's why I have ordered a retreat, because I knew, okay, there's no chance we're getting this point. So let's just retreat and fight them at our healing zone, because healing zone is OP. Right, and here we just decided to find them in the middle. Like, we know we cannot get this point, so we don't even try. We don't even try to get close to their healing zone, because we know we won't be able to deny it anyway. So just fight them and get them here. Now the Leonidas makes quite a mistake, exposes his back. I'll fight it out, Leonidas pushing to D. Now, that must have happened and I must have missed it. But he will push again. Yeah, there we go. He goes with pikes over there. Yeah, so now the enemy team has decided to go into C, because they saw that essentially it's not going to work. Tried backupping B, didn't happen obviously. So they tried to change something, because we got C at the beginning, we held A, we held B, they held E, they held D. So yeah, in competitive battles, capturing points is extremely rare. C has been captured at the beginning, and that was essentially it. Right, and we wouldn't have captured E if they didn't decide to try something else and go to C. Yeah, so there's that. Leonidas was there, Leonidas was OP. Leonidas didn't lose the point, Leonidas won the push here. Let's get into the kingdom battles, where you will see Leonidas just in a straight up defense. Give me a while, I need to find the replay. There we go. I actually haven't really looked at the Kingdom battles. I watched a little bit of how we did against Solwings. Flexwing, sorry.
Fight for control of the battlefield.
Okay. Let's disable the Fog of War. So we have our Leonidas here on an island, just A, defending alone. Sending one into tall grass here. Okay. And they have Germanicus defending over here. Well, they do send some force over here. It's not like they just defend one point over here. So they split their forces somewhat equally. But they have their Leonidas over here actually, so it's going to be Leonidas versus Leonidas on the attacking flank. But I see they don't really want to push forward. I see. Okay. Well, we do want to push forward. And we push forward with all of our forces essentially, apart from one player. So obviously do get an advantage because we just outnumber them over here. Let's speed this up. Okay. Yeah, and after they engage with us over here, they do realize, oh shit guys, they have literally everything over here. Means that there is pretty much nothing over here. But said nothing is Leonidas. That was a fail over here from Brenter, getting charged like that. Anyway, just sits in the Find the Shade and let's see. He's already been captured. They're just starting capturing it. And he's unroutable. Just hold the line. He still is in the Find the Shade. To be honest, for no reason. He should be in Hoplite Phalanx. Because if these archers want to shoot him, fucking do it. You'll deal 10 times more damage to your allies than to Leonidas. So Leonidas should be able to just sit here. And it was just a single unit, right? Because the other one went somewhere else. It went to C. The pikes got obliterated at the beginning. Yeah. It's still 20 seconds difference. Even though E was defended by many more units. And we are just ahead in tempo from that point onwards, and yeah. Let's see how that goes. Where is their Leonidas? So yes, over here. Over here. To be honest, like, this battle is so uneventful. Yeah. It's not a very interesting watch, to be honest. Oh, yeah, but we attack at A at some point. I haven't seen the attack on A, how that went. Just have
Our unit is under attack.
an elephant over here being held by Leonidas, killed by archers.
An allied capture point.
Yeah, oh look, the archers are shooting our glaives. Or no. Oh, they got a nice volley in the back of Leonidas, but he just went to Find the Shade and started ignoring them from that point onward. They just ran out of front line, and there we go. Archers are dead without doing anything really. They still have the most damage apparently. Okay. Oh, now we're pushing to D. And I have beautiful blobs to shoot in the back. Still need to be careful. I can get out of the I cannot get out of the tall grass because they had cannon archers, which they could just barrage me the minute I get out of there. There was also pressure of the cavalry, so I need to be careful. But then I had glaives to defend me, so it was fine. I can use terrain as well here, hide behind this little rock, deal a shit on friendly fire over here, because my allies don't listen to me. It's not like I'm their captain or anything. But pretty awesome battle. Let's see how they adapt for the next battle. We'll see if they're... I think they push immediately in there. But again, I was on the other flank, so didn't see that clearly. We're speedrunning this, huh? Well, we're speedrunning the video the same way we speedrun the actual tournament. Yeah, we covered 2 battles in 10 minutes, while we covered the first battle in 25 minutes. But the first battle was the most eventful, I think. Okay, so we're back on Alpis Graya. Fog of War off. Yeah, this time they attack immediately. So let's compare, right? Because they leave an elephant. An elephant is pretty good. It's difficult to kill an elephant, right? You cannot really outnumber him, you cannot flank him, you cannot rout him. There's that. And there's only so much damage you can stack up on him. Crossbows with poison help a lot. Repeating crossbows would probably be better. I don't actually know what deals more DPS to an elephant, but I would assume repeating crossbows. Yeah, it's pretty much clear that it's repeating crossbows. Hey, let's just see. Leonidas, 3 units defending a point versus 3 elephants defending a point. 1 on the healing zone, 1 on the top of the point, and 1 going forward to delay our infantry. Oh, they also have dogs versus dogs, so they're stopping our dogs over here. They probably try to went for a backup, but they would also encounter our elephant. So I guess they sort of try to copy our strategy to some degree. So yeah, the attacks converge the point pretty much at the same time. Here's the volley, finally shade already cast. Hand is being used, so you know his missile block isn't 100, still 88. Still high enough for him not to really give a fuck. And if they want to wait for the archers for their damage to start kicking in, sure, go for it. That's still damage on only 1 unit. Meanwhile, D already under attack, 2 elephants on top of it. Third elephant can come in, but he insists on being out of the healing zone, which we can just deny. He also insists on showing his back to the crossbows. Not very smart. And yeah, elephant's already down to half health. Leonidas is also kind of down, but we also put our own elephant over here to buy even more time. And E is already being captured because they didn't leave anything here. So yeah, Leonidas buys enough time. There we go. D also being captured. B still holding. Leonidas still holding, despite being outnumbered, surrounded. He does. Look at this. No flank. This unit is not being flanked. They have enemies here, here, here. They only have enemies over here. Well, they kind of do as well. But they are not flanked. And they also have a lot of morale because Hold the Line is being used. But now Hold the Line is going to expire. He has only 2 soldiers. Is he going to rout or die? The answer is rout, while having 1 soldier. The answer here, the point is already logged because we backed the P. So yeah. Leonidas buys so much time that there is a time for an elephant to arrive. There is time for cavalry to go and back up E. Well, whatever they used, which is elephants, well, they're just not as good as Leonidas.
Our capture point is contested.
So essentially, Leonidas is by far the best at defending the point because he's so versatile. He deals with melee very well, he deals with cavalry very well, melee infantry obviously, he deals with elephants very well, and he deals with ranged very well. And even if you throw everything of it combined at Leonidas, he will still deal by far the best with that than any other unit or any other commander. Like combined arms, let's say, versus Leonidas is still going to take the most time to kill that Leonidas than any other unit. If you put elephants on there, if you put Scipio in there, put anything in there and put combined arms against it. For example, Scipio, right? Scipio, off Perseverance, first of all, it can be disengaged from. So you just attack him, he's off Perseverance. If you're just melee, you just disengage from it. He cannot chase it because he's 50% slower in off Perseverance. So just run away from him and then just fight him, and then Scipio is essentially just a regular sword unit with nothing, really. He has Warcry, lowers your defense a little, but that's not the point, because you're trying to hold the point, extend the duration of the fight rather than speed it up. You're not going to rout anybody because you're just there defending, usually outnumbered. And you have a charge, which, yeah, that's just a charge. So, and if the enemy has ranged units, they just kind of kill you because a melee unit holds you and ranged units kill you, right? In case of Leonidas, doesn't care. He has Find the Shade and he shield bashes the melee at the same time. So he wins the melee through shield bashes because shield bashes are so OP. He cannot be routed because Hold the Line. He can be shot because Find the Shade. He also has Hoplite Phalanx, so he cannot be flanked even more. So even if he cannot be flanked because Hoplite Phalanx, he can just retreat and get himself in a position where he cannot be flanked. Even if he doesn't use that and somehow gets flanked anyway, he can hold the line and he'll not rout. So yeah, you can use elephants like they did over here. Elephants will also just receive damage because Hoplite Phalanx can just, you know, pull back, go in, shield bash, heavy thrust, and that pushes you back, delays you. Hoplite Phalanx itself delays you, pushes you back, knocks you back. Elephant can stomp, right? But with so many soldiers attacking the elephant from all directions, well, the elephant is going to deal some damage. Leonidas is also going to deal some damage, maybe even more than an elephant. So, yeah. Defensively, Leonidas is simply by far the best. What about attacking? Well, I think Flexwings also shown that Leonidas is extremely good at attacking. He just pushes in forward, goes in Find the Shade if there are enemy ranged units shooting at him in the approaching phase, which is not very long. So he mitigates 2 volleys of damage essentially. And then just goes into Hoplite Phalanx, pushes in, so if the enemy ranged units wanted to shoot him, they would suffer, they would inflict a lot of friendly fire, more than they would do to Leonidas, right? Because they shoot their allies in the back. Most of the arrows would go into the allies as well. Leonidas would block half of it anyway. He also has high armor, so he would only suffer armor piercing, while the allies that the rangers would shoot, since it's in the back, they would probably deal a little bit more than just armor piercing. Yeah, and then he just pushes in Hoplite Phalanx, shield bashes. Shield bash is such a powerful ability. You saw like how it wrecks units. He can also just blob up, push through with triple Phalanx, remove pretty much any obstacle that he wants to remove, and he'll remove it the fastest. Germanicus cannot remove an obstacle that fast, Guan Yu cannot, Elephant cannot. Elephant can just walk through such an obstacle, but so can Leonidas in triple Hoplite Phalanx pull through, to be honest. But Leonidas will suffer a little bit more damage by doing so. So there is a slight disadvantage compared to an elephant, but he's also much better than an elephant at pretty much everything else. And he's also pretty much better than any other damage dealer, like Germanicus, for example, who is the damage dealer of Arena, right? Vengeance, hello? And then also you can have Chinese commanders. You have Lu Bu, Dong Zhuo, Guan Yu, also good damage dealers. But yeah, even as extreme example as the Germanicus, who also has a Studio, but this Studio has a weakness. It is disabled in melee. You cannot use it once you are in melee. He doesn't have a formation like Hoplite Phalanx that could push in. He has form combat, which sucks. It doesn't speed up the battle, it slows it down because it's a defensive formation, not an offensive formation. So with Hoplite Phalanx. Hoplite Phalanx is kind of a defensive formation. Except it, well, it is defensive, it is also offensive. It's like just so good at everything. And then Leonidas is also so good at everything. So not only has a super powerful unit in spears, he also has super powerful abilities. Let's see. Enter a Phalanx, well, it doesn't say it's a defensive formation. So there's that. But people generally think of a Phalanx as a defensive formation, but no. Yep. But yeah, instead of nerfing Leonidas, let's not touch him. Leonidas was not nerfed ever since the release of the Chinese release, because at the beginning of the Chinese release, pretty much every single commander has been reworked to some extent because of the new talent point system. Previously it was just, you had abilities, you bought them with free XP, and then you had them forever. And there was no, like, oh, you have a limited amount of talent points that you need to spend, and you need to decide, do you want to have your shield bash stronger, or do you want to have your Find the Shade stronger, etc, etc. You need to find a balance essentially between the three abilities. and how you invest into them. So that was a reset point of balance, let's say, and ever since that reset, Leonidas has not been nerfed a single time. And how many times the ranged units were nerfed? That ranged units are only situationally strong and extremely fragile. Yeah. But, you know, just the perception of people, they see ranged units like, oh, they hit me from afar. And I couldn't do anything to them in that very moment, even though I can just walk forward, make them give up the ground, and hello, the game mode itself is called territory control. Archers do not control territory, they need to give up territory to even be useful to be able to deal damage. If they just stay in place, the enemy just pushes into them, and that's the end of usefulness of ranged units. So they need to kite, they need to keep increasing the distance or keep keeping the distance to the enemy, but if they keep doing that, they just give up the ground and they just give up the point. And if you give up the point, this happens. Right? So Leonidas is extremely strong at the game mode itself, which is all about controlling the points. He's able to push into points very effectively, he's able to contest them very effectively, he's able to defend them very effectively. He is self-sufficient, he doesn't need any allies around him to buff him or protect him. And just his melee performance in the first battle, SUNTZU versus Flex Wings, he dealt the most damage as well. More than ranged units. Because ranged units were shut down properly. And then, well, I also had my, moments. I killed Scipio 2 times, that was defending the point. And I got some nice volleys into C from a side. So there was that. But Leonidas just pushes forward, shield bashes, and deals more damage. Yeah. So he deals more damage than a unit that only deals damage and nothing else. But then he also does everything else also extremely well. So he's just so well-rounded. And it's not even well-rounded. He's the best commander at pretty much every single thing. No matter what you want to do, Leonidas is the best. Apart from few exceptions. While other units and commanders have their weaknesses and counters, how do you counter Leonidas? Tell me in the comments. Because even if you bring those combined arms, yeah, you can say, oh, you just counter an elephant by bringing your own elephant and then also this and this and this and this. Or if you don't bring your own elephant, well, you need, for example, an archer unit to deal damage with, but then the archer unit can be just chased down 3 versus 3. So you need something to hold that elephant. By the point you need something to hold an elephant, you already need more units than the elephants are committing, right? So it's, for example, 6 versus 3, and then that creates +3 advantage somewhere else. So is there a direct counter? Can anything beat Leonidas in a 1v1? Nothing comes to my mind. Germanicus loses, even with Vengeance. Vengeance can be disengaged from. Leonidas's buffs are independent of being disengaged from. Scipio, for example, his off can also be disengaged from and deactivated that way. How do you deactivate Leonidas buffs? You can. They just go on cooldown like any other ability. And they come back because the cooldown isn't not that long even. And also it's AoE. Yeah, 70 seconds cooldown, 32 seconds duration. If you have 3 units, you can have it permanently. Shield Bash, 22 seconds cooldown, 8 seconds duration. Gives you +44% melee weapon damage, while having that +42% melee attack. Stack that with Hoplite Phalanx. That's a lot of damage, that's a lot of attack, it's a lot of pull-through damage. Elephants? No. Spears have bonus against elephants. Shield Bash also makes pretty short work of elephants. Ranged units, Find the Shade exists. Cavalry, well, they're spears. If you charge them frontally, you know. He can obviously just 3v1 a unit with cavalry, sure. It'll be super difficult, but he can do it. We saw that happen as well. Alexander will be pretty good at it. But if it's a 3 versus 3, 3 versus 3, not happening. Yeah, I'll leave that to the comments, to you guys. Tell me how to beat Leonidas, because I don't know how to beat ranged units. Just walk forward. How to beat elephants? Oh well, you need to invest a lot of resources to beat elephants. But you can beat elephants. Leonidas? Oh boy. That's a tough nut to crack. Tough shield to crack. So it just makes me wonder, what the hell is CE doing? Well, I can tell you what they're doing. They're pandering to melee players. That's what they do. Because melee players are most of the player base, so they keep buffing or just not nerfing the melee commanders and units, like Leonidas and his spears. And they just keep them extremely overpowered for a year now. Over a year, since the first Pioneer test. And instead of they keep nerfing the units that melee players complain about, even though they really have no reason to. Because if you fail to shut down enemy ranges, that's really on you as a melee player. You failed to walk forward properly and coordinate with your team. It's not like ranged units can really stop you from doing so. Well, crippling shot can stop you for a few seconds. And that's it, pretty much. The only strength of ranged units comes really from the weakness of the players themselves, because random battles are obviously uncoordinated. You get random skill people, so even if there's 1 or 2 smart players that push forward, that sometimes maybe is not enough, because those can be stopped by melee infantry and the others are going to run like headless chickens. And it's, oh no, my team is so bad, therefore the enemy ranged are so good. But if you're the one bad, you don't even see that you're bad, and it's just, oh no, ranged is overpowered, I don't know what to do against them. But yeah, exactly, you don't know what to do against them, so it's kind of your fault. Maybe it's my fault that I cannot beat Leonidas, but I honestly thought about it. Our entire team thought about it. How do we deal with Leonidas during the tournament? The answer is we bring our own Leonidas and try to use our Leonidas better than the enemy team uses theirs. Yeah. Luckily, there was a rule that you can have only one of each commander, so only one Leonidas on the entire battlefield. So, yeah. But if that rule wasn't in place, you would see 2, 3 Leonidas, to be honest. I know I would bring it. At least 2. 1 to defend, 1 to attack. If not more. And I would definitely not bring ranged units. So yeah. That's the end of the video. It took me a while. But hopefully you now know why and how Leonidas is OP, and that he should be nerfed if you want to have a balanced game. But if you want to keep pandering to melee players, want to keep them happy, or if you are one of those ranged meta complainers, honestly, playing Leonidas, you'll have fun. Leonidas has been created for people like you. Just go get Leonidas, 160k free XP, I know, quite expensive, or 6k gold. But once you get them, once you get him, you'll see that everything is super easy, because you're just so overpowered against everything. Yeah, so that's the end of the video. I'll see you, Leonidas players, on arenas, battlefields. Commanders, Leonidas players. Also, it's Leonidas, not Leonidas, by the way. He's Greek. It's not Sinani, it's Kanane. It's Greek. Like, respect the original pronunciation. Leonidas. There we go. That's the message I will leave you with.